following video is another Magical Girl series. But before we get into that, let me tell you a little backstory before we get into Little Witch Academia. Back when it was around 2020, I was, along with many others, pretty much miserable throughout that time, though. While I did still work for being a babysitter and all that stuff, though, this was during the time when a lot of us were struggling. So when it was the time when I actually wanted to watch something that was anime related at that time, though, I did already watch Little Witch Academia, when it was coming for this time for the video, but this is during the time when it was pretty much guaranteed to be a struggle for me, though. See, in case you guys don't know, I was first introduced to this series by two trans women, those two being Lily Orchard and Rebecca Starlight, both of which were pretty much bad from what I've been seeing so far, though. Honestly, though, while I try my best to avoid internet drama, especially with those two, that's really how I got really introduced to Little Witch Academia. I was 20 years old, sue me. If you don't know already, though, I really couldn't grasp any more of the story when it comes behind this, though. Little Witch Academia was one of those stories that actually got my interest, if anything like that. So when I first sat down to watch the series, I was already hooked when coming into it, though. Though this would be to its own detriment, not just my story behind it, but also for what I've seen so far, though. It makes sense that Lily Orchard and Rebecca Starlight always seem to have the taken seriously route when it comes to that. But they're taken too seriously to the point where I couldn't tell what they're made, though. And let me tell you right now, when I first started watching Little Witch Academia, these two had different ways of reviewing it, though. Now, let me enough, though. Little Witch Academia was not supposed to be like this for what it's worth, though. From what I can tell, though, it actually does seem like they had a lot of things going for it as is, though. But the problem with it, at least from my perspective, is that it's one of those series that both trans women seem to have issues with people liking the series or disliking it. But when it comes to Lily Orchard, well, believe it or not, she called me out for actually saying things like I'm a whore for watching something like Little Witch Academia. And that's not just that, though. For some reason, she just hates it that I love something that I enjoy. And as such, while I don't have the screenshots with me anymore because I had a new phone and everything during the production of this video, I really couldn't get the screenshot more of it. And even worse than that, I really couldn't further grasp on my instincts when it comes to something like this. Especially because she just didn't like what I enjoyed, though. But when it comes to Rebecca Starlight, who I did a take on, if you remember from episode 3, she did it a lot better, but that's like saying you're gonna like a moldy apple compared to a moldy apple. Both are disgusting and they're in different ways, and really something you shouldn't have in your resume. I don't want to saying that both of them did it pretty badly because saying that doesn't really do it justice. What does do it for me, however, is how much I love this here series, and yet they do it in different lights. Like Lily saying that she doesn't like it because of Akko, but Rebecca Starlight likes it because of Akko, which I'm not sure how much this would imply me instead, though. You can still like characters, but well, let's go over the series in itself. It takes see where it takes us from here. This is Little Witch Academia. For those who are curious on what this series is, well, let's go over the synopsis. Our main protagonist, Akko, who seems to stumble upon a show where there's lots of magic involved, she seems to really get fascinated by arts by her own idol, Chariot. While Chariot herself may be a very good expert on the magic, though, it's here where she really is so intrigued by her magic that she really wants to become a witch herself, though. As such, years later, she goes to a school known as Luna Nova Academy. Now, this school is not your average school, though. See, these your girls are going to the school just so they can become witches, and in some shape or form, learn as time goes on different types of magic. Except this isn't like Japan where it's set in there, though. This is a fantasy world, and when you are creative enough to do your own fantasy world, you can pretty much bet they do whatever they could, though. Which, if you're creative enough, you can pretty much bet they do a lot with this, though. Unfortunately for Akko, she has one problem, though. She's really not good at magic, or she lacks magic for lack thereof. Instead of being born with magic, or in this case, not properly learning magic because this is something that she has to learn to become a witch. She instead does everything she can along with two friends along her way, Lotte and Susie. Though when I think of Lotte's name, I thought at first it was pronounced latte because that's what it kind of reminded me at first glance. Getting back to the story, however, though Akko seems to be up for the challenge, but not everyone seems to think that she has the skill for it yet, though, until she stumbles upon the popular girl, Diana Cavendish. Before you get up in arms thinking that this popular girl was going to be a bitch or something like that, don't worry. Unlike other popular girls, at least she doesn't start off like that, and furthermore, she gets more development. It's here where we see that Diana, while she had generations of her family that came from Luna Nova and the school expects high expectations from her, Diana just doesn't seem like she really cares about what she does. Though for her own magic, though, to the point where it can feel like she's very humble out of her own self, though. When it comes right down to it, though, she's not really someone that just wants to do it because her family expects her to. While they do expect high expectations from her, Diana just doesn't seem like she wants to do so already, though. While Akko, while still thinking so already, though, doesn't seem to like Diana at first, though I think a lot of us felt like that at first glance, though. Even more so than you may think, though, Diana does whatever she can to help Akko out, but Akko, being persistent, doesn't really want any help, and as such gets made fun of for how much she does, though. And keep in mind, she doesn't know much about magic and how to use it at first glance, so it's natural that things don't go her way at first glance. Over the time the series is going, however, she does grow into a better character, and as such, she does whatever she can to prevent it from doing so already, though. So, Little Witch Academia is basically Harry Potter if it made into a magical girl genre. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's pretty awesome. Now, I used to read and watch stuff with Harry Potter in it, so this is nothing new to me, though. But I think what might not be new for people if they're magical girl fans like I am, it has something to do with witches. So let's get this out of the way first. I know some people are going to say to me that Little Witch Academia follows the trend that a lot of magical girl shows do. Basically, a girl who wants to become a witch and works her way from there, though. Well, I say that, but I don't want to say this as in this is a trend that always happens, even though it is. But the one thing that a lot of people seem to misunderstand is that this is one of those stories where it's more coming of age, if anything, though. You can still have a coming of age story while still having tropes that you've seen before. I'm not here to diss people who don't like this idea, but it's really fair to me that when it comes to someone like, say, Lily Orchard, she seems to take this route and just turns it upside down, if you know what I mean. But that said, however, I can see where she gets the criticisms for, but the whole thing about her not liking this series all because it's an anime, and guess what? Because it's an anime, that means all anime are the same. That's like me saying after someone puts a comment on my video, they're gonna like watch my video and say it's nice. That means everyone's gonna say it's nice. You do realize not everything has the same edge to it, right? And with Rebecca Starlight, while she was the real way if I could watch this series, though that's not really saying much. Go back to what I said before now, guys. And it's here where I have to, while I do admit this is one of those cases where I do appreciate what Rebecca says, that doesn't really make up for what she did, though. Especially for what she says that she has a crush on Akko, even though Akko is, what, 16 in this series? I'm starting to notice that a lot of people who love love any series with involving teenagers, they always seem to go that route. I don't ever do that, thank God, but I'm just saying, though, from my perspective as it is, though. Though it's here where I have to say I had a hard time watching this series at first glance. See, I started watching this series around 2020, and around that time, like I said, we were all going through a tough time. The pandemic was occurring, a lot of things were stressful at the time, jobs were closing every now and then. I was one of those people who had a babysitting job, but it was mostly due to watching my first nephew and my first niece, my only niece at the time writing this video, though. This was a year before my second nephew was born, so it's not like I had more kids to watch at the time. What I can tell Tell you is that when watching Blue Witch Academia 2020, I only watched the first season and didn't get back to the second season until 2 years afterwards. And you might be thinking, why did it take so long? Well, it's mostly because during this time when I was watching Blue Witch Academia, I had other animes on my library that I wanted to watch. In case you don't know, I'm a jumbled watcher. Whenever I watch something on one thing, I want to watch another thing just so I can see what's in my library. Yeah, this is one case where I feel like it could have been a lot more avoided if I just watched this series and then take it from there, though. Which makes me beg the question that if it's on Netflix, I don't know why I didn't watch it all the way, though, because this is really for what I came from in the US. They did this as an original Netflix series. I'm not sure how it worked in Japan and other places, but this series almost felt like it, though. And I would be hit or miss if I didn't mention this, but by the time I was watching this as the first season and not work my way through after that, I was watching Holic during that time. And spoiler alert, there will be Clamp series coming into the library, so get ready for that. So with all that said, however, how does this series stack up after 7 years of watch after this series came out? Personally, I think it did pretty well. I know I keep going to say about Harry Potter, but that's because this series was the inspiration for that series, and a little bit of Sally the Witch, which is the first magical girl series out there, if I want to remind you guys. But I don't want to say that as in that's the only thing that I love about this series. No, the other things I love about this here series is the fact that it had a lot of things going for it as well, though. For one thing, the animation is still pretty damn beautiful to look at. If you've seen Kill la Kill, you already know what you're getting into. Great animation, and as well as nice things here and there, though. Though some people might think it may be distracting that the off models can bit weird though. But then again, the anime is no stranger to off-model puts, so I don't really see a problem with that. What I can tell you though is that while doing this year's series for Magical Girl Month, though, I will admit this is definitely the case where I feel pretty bad why it took me so long to do so, because like I said, 2 seasons and this series has 25 episodes. Granted, they did have a movie or two of it, but I didn't really see it in preparation of this video, so maybe I'll take a look at it, maybe I won't. I can't for sure tell you though. I'm pretty slow at watching things, especially when I'm into something, so keep that a heads up if anything though. One thing I will say about the characters though, the character Ursula, however, while she does seem like she could be a good counselor and mentor figure for Go, it seems like she doesn't really have that much faith in herself to teach her out though. Now this may count as spoilers, so if you don't want this spoil for you, I try skipping it at a certain what time. So if anything though, here's what it is though. See, Ursula herself, despite being Chariot the whole time though, which is pretty much a surprise right there though, she just didn't want to disappoint Akko because Akko really looked up to her. And this really devastates Akko in a lot of ways though. In some ways you could say that she's being whiny, but come on guys, if you found out that your idol was someone that you weren't expecting, I'm sure you would be disappointed and as well though. And let's be honest, I think we all know our disappointments every now and then, not just with idols but with anyone we come in contact really. But it comes as no surprise that while the series is pretty much looks like it's kid friendly, from what I gather this saying that this is young kids may find it too intense and frightening. Maybe it's just me. I watched this series for myself and maybe I'm reading too much into it though, but I don't really see anything frightening about this year's series. It's lighthearted for the most part, and what's more, while they do have moments where it can be a bit janky at some places though, it's never really too much though. And honestly, I feel like it's about time I say that this is actually one of those cases where I didn't really think there was anything wrong with this year's series. Still, while I do want to say that this series may be good to watch though, no, it is though. They say that the English dub is bad, but I really don't think this series of English dub is really that bad though. We have Erica Mendes again, another Magical Girl series, but here she voices Akko, so instead of doing that rambunctious Just boisterous voice she does for both Sailor Uranus and Ryoko Matoi. She's really doing more of a cutesy kind of voice here. Stephanie Shea again, who plays Lopete. And then we also got. Wait, are you for real? Yeah, in case you guys are wondering, though, Diana's voice, if anything, though, is voiced by. I'm not kidding here. The same person who gave us Ryago Kiryu from Kill la Kill. And yeah, this was Laura Post, and I couldn't really tell if it was her though. Laura Post did a wicked voice in Kill la Kill when she played the main villain, but she also voiced Diana in this here series, so that's quite the surprise right there though. While I understand that this series is really just like Harry Potter, except with more magical girl element involved though for well, that doesn't mean the series is bad or anything like that. Maybe it's because I'm just a fan of Harry Potter, even though J.K. Rowling, yeah, I'm not gonna go into detail with what she keeps misrepresenting about a fascist, so draw your own conclusions there. But overall, though, I still love this year's series. Though I think we all know that this is one I had to cope with, because in case you guys haven't seen my community post, I'm redoing the Mel situation in a different video. So, yeah, look forward to that. On Monday, however, we're going to look at Madoka Magica, another magical girl series that involves witches, but in different ways. So until then, I'll see you all in the next video, and as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, stay flamingo-tastic. See ya!